Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Thursday, July the 2nd. It is the last trading day of the week since we do have a market holiday tomorrow, with, of course, Independence Day and a long weekend. Hope you guys are doing well. As for the overall markets, yesterday, Qs down a little bit here, SMH down about 5%, semis, and of course, memory showing a little bit more weakness now after the MU earnings that we had last week. SPY is holding up. So yesterday there was a couple of trades that I was looking for. Really, a lot of this Meg 7 names. Meta was a nice one above our 594. The one that I ended up taking yesterday was a Palantir trade towards the upside. And names like that are essentially leading the market, and we had some renewed strength in those ones compared to a couple of the semis and some memory. You can see MU down about 10%, closer to that earnings low here. SNDK, INTC, a little bit of a pullback here. So coming into today, and coming into this week, or sorry, coming into next week and moving forward, there's a couple of things to talk about, of course. With that being said, before we head on to the charts, good morning, everyone. Good morning, P. Double A, what's up, Andy, Francisco, Lamit, Cinna, F. Frogden, what's up, Jose, Knight, C, what's up, Ken, MG, good morning, Monty, Stefan, what's up, everyone, Nina, Marcus, Ann, what's up, RK, Emma, what's up, Law, Robert, TSD, Ashley, Andrea, good morning, Ron. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let me pull up the economic calendar and we will get started here. So, let me pull up the economic calendar for today. There's a couple red folder news events that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As you can see right here, today we have the average hourly earnings month over month. That is something to keep an eye out for. Then we have the non-farm enrollment change. We have the unemployment rate plus the unemployment claims. So decent amount of things coming into today. That is going to be at 8:30, as I mentioned. That's in about roughly 20 minutes from now. So we'll go over some charts, and then once we have that red folder news event, we'll kind of develop our game plan from there. All right, with that being said, let's hop now straight back into the charts. And we're going to start off with, of course, the SPY. Let's go on to the daily time frame here for the SPY. Nothing's really changed so far. Higher lows are still being maintained on the SPY. We end up filling this daily gap that we created here last week. If you go into the hourly time frame so far, turn back on the drawings, we are holding above that 744. So this is a very key area. Once we flip back above on Tuesday, nice continuation yesterday, maintained above that 744. Nice push towards the upside. So this is what we wanted to see here on the major indices. We end up getting a little bit of a bigger drop on the Qs and the SMH. But as you can see here, for the major indices themselves, SPY was almost green. It was slightly red, whereas the Qs was down about 1.5%. SMH was down almost 5%. So SPY in this case is leading the markets back towards the upside, at least this week in specific. That's why a lot of these tech names and the Meg 7 names started bouncing. Meta, of course, with the news that we had in the pre-market yesterday. That was key. And you can see, based off that meta news that we had yesterday, there's a lot of semis that ended up pulling back, more so in specific, the memory names that we had. But at least for today, coming into market open, we're going to continue to look for SPY to maintain above the 744. That's going to be key for a potential move back up in towards its previous day highs and above. So key levels today, let's mark out that 744, which is our previous day lows. And then we can also mark out our previous day highs. And we can also drag this over. So for the SPY coming to today, maintain above that 744, push back up in towards the upside. Another possible scenario, we can wait for that opening range potential break back up in towards our previous day highs. So that's what we have for the SPY. Of course, if we get above our previous day highs, we can see some continuation. As for the QQQ, this one, let's take a look at the Qs. This one is a little bit weaker compared to the SPY in itself. So yesterday, or the day before on the Qs, we ended up filling this daily gap that we had on the higher time frames. And then we basically opened up and we have an inside bar day. So for the QQQ here, this one is right still, I'd say more so inside of this range. If we mark out the EMAs here, you can see we're kind of right around the 9 and 21. EMAs tried to flip here, but as you can see, we're currently just right around this 9 and 21. I wouldn't say we're well above the 9 and 21 or below it. We're just more so right in between the range within the past 20 sessions, right? Within the past month, we have been just ranging. If you look from the start of June to the start of July here, I'd say we're pretty flat in the overall markets. For the Qs coming into today coming into today, what are some of the key levels that I have marked out? For the Qs, key levels that I have marked out in this case is our 724. Other levels that we have marked out is the 726. So yesterday you can see buyers tried stepping in above that 726. We had a little bit of a bounce. We weren't able to fill that full daily gap back towards the upside. And this one stayed a little bit heavy. And now you can see in the pre-market, we did quite a bit. Right, in the pre-market, there was a big drop. And now you can see we're back at our previous day close here. And right now we're having a little bit of a bounce. So for the Qs coming into today, we can keep an eye out on the reclaim back above that 726. Another possible scenario is now going to be the reclaim back above that 724 for a pushback towards the upside here as well. So these are the two upside scenarios. For some downside, the only way I'm interested in downside is underneath our previous day lows, 724 hold. We can see a potential flip here in the markets back down in towards that 720. If we now go into the futures charts that we have, let's go into the hourly time frame for the NQ. Basically same game plan as yesterday. The reclaim back above, we can see this push back towards the upside, building more so these hourly higher lows. You can see now we kind of overshot this level, so we're going to be looking for the reclaim back towards the upside. The break back underneath, of course, we can see a push right back down in towards the pre-market lows and below. ES, as you can see, this one is holding up a little bit nicer. Structure's a lot nicer in this one as well. You can see we're kind of forming this higher time frame inverse head and shoulders. We're creating this right shoulder here above our 7,500. If we can maintain above that 7,500, we can see this continuation higher. Above that 7,580, we can see this continue push back towards the upside here as well. So for the ES, this one is stronger now. So you can see it's holding market structure, holding above key levels. Of course, if we broke back underneath, that would be a sign that we can go look in short underneath our 7,500. If we go on to the SMH, let's go on to the daily chart on this one. You can see for the SMH, now we're closer to this 21 EMA. This one is a little bit weaker. If we're looking at last month's worth of price action here on the SMH, this one is fairly neutral as well, especially within the past 2 weeks. We've been consolidating a lot more with, of course, the major indices themselves. So for the SMH, this one's right at our 21. If we're looking at this week's price action, more so in specific, we of course are closer to the bottom of the range compared to SPY, which is closer to the top of the range. And then for the Qs, which is more so in the middle of the range, I'd say the upper third of the range, but SPY's the most bullish, followed up by the Qs, and then followed by the SMH, which when we had the nice rally towards the upside and within the past a couple months, it usually was the complete opposite. It was the SMH leading, then the Qs, then the SPY. Now it's flipped. So that's why a lot of the semiconductors, at least this week after the MU earnings that we had, has been a little bit more difficult to trade. All right, with that being said, I'm gonna go on to some other. I'm gonna go into the SMH here, and then we'll take a look at the IWM, and then we'll take a look at DRAM, and then we will head on to some tech names. So for the SMH, what are some of the levels that we have coming into today? Key levels that we have, previous day lows marked out. We have the low of the range marked out here as well, which is our 608. And see, nice buyers are stepping in off our previous day lows. Now we just like to see it maintain above our previous day lows for this continuation back towards the upside. Another possible scenario is going to now be the flip back above our 632 for a push back towards the highs. So let's keep an eye on that 620 coming to market open. Of course, if we break underneath, we could see a flip back down in towards that 608 here on the higher time frames. If you look at IWM, this one more so on the hourly time frame, this one is building up higher lows. Let's look for that break above our 300 hold for a push back towards the upside here on IWM. DRAM, this one is a little bit weaker, so that's why some of the semiconductors, of course, are dropping more so in specific memory names. You can see DRAM is still bullish, but we're actually now trying to break underneath this 21. So we're underneath the 9, underneath the 21 now, and we're trying to close underneath the 21. So that's why, of course, some of the memory names, MU, SNDK, WDC, a little bit weaker. I would like to see something kind of similar to what it did back here. You can see last time we had a nice clean break and retest. We would have liked to see this level hold, right? A little bit of an undershoot, but now we're trying to actually close well underneath our previous retest levels. So for now DRAM, we could dig a little bit deeper into this down close candle, which now we're currently doing. But I would have liked it to see it hold this, at least this daily gap fill for the best move. And of course the 9 and 21, which in this case now we're kind of overshooting. We did overshoot previously, but now in this case, we're overshooting this retest level. We're overshooting the 9 and 21, and we're gapping down. We would like to see some sort of buyers kind of step in right off this key technical level to try and push this for a decent weekly close. So far, we're a lot weaker here on the memory tickers. All right, with that being said, let me head on to some tech names here now. We roughly have about 10 minutes until some Red Folder news events. So we'll go over some tech names and some other tickers here now. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Okay, let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, we already talked about Tesla more so on the higher time frames. We are now breaking outside of this range here as well. So yesterday or the day previous, we talked about Tesla. This is the range that we had marked out, broke underneath, reclaimed, and now we're continuing higher. And we also broke above the top of the range. So now we're above that 416. We're going to be looking for continuation towards the upside. As for Tesla, this one actually, this one never quite came down into that 416. We did just gravitate towards the upside right off the bat above our previous day highs. You can see nice break and retest above our previous day highs here on Tesla. More so of a 5-minute setup, but higher time frames above our previous day highs. Nice continuation, and now we're basing above that 424. What I would like to see now, just maintain above that 424, continuation towards our previous day highs, or now above our pre-market highs for a push up in towards our previous day highs for continuation. So this is what we have marked out on Tesla coming into today. So we'll keep that in mind. Of course, if we break underneath our 424, then we can look for a potential flip here on Tesla. As for NVIDIA, this one is consolidating more than anything, at least this week. Key levels that we're just going to have marked out on what's important, 200. If we can get above 200, great for upside. If we maintain underneath 200, then we can be looking for a potential pop and fade. So for NVIDIA, you can see we end up having a rejection here on Tuesday, another rejection yesterday, later into the day, and now we're fading back off this level once again. So for NVIDIA, for upside, the best case is above our previous day highs for continuation. Could you be looking for some sort of bounce play here off our 196? Yes, you can, but it would be a little bit more difficult. Best one, of course, is above our previous day highs. As for the downside, Nvidia has been weaker, but with the overall markets, it's going to be tough downside unless we have a strong rejection off our 200, which we're trying to currently have. Now, what I'd more like to see is just maintain underneath our 200, right? Lower highs be built, and then break underneath our previous day lows for a potential move back down in towards that 192. AMD, this one recently hit our all-time highs, and of course, yesterday we ended up having a little bit of a pullback. Key levels that we have on AMD is now really the area that we broke out from. So we have our 560, and then we also have our 540 marked out. What I'd like to see coming into today is the reaction that we have off our 540, reclaim back above our previous day lows, push back up and towards that 560 is in play. A flip underneath, we can see a mean reversion back towards the downside 524. As for a couple other key levels that we can have marked out, or let's go on to Apple. Apple bouncing now, filled that daily gap back towards the upside. Buyers stepped in nicely above our previous day highs here as well. Now for Apple, the key levels that we can have marked out is going to be our previous day highs. So you can mark out that previous day highs here for Apple. We do want to see now just the break and retest above our previous day highs for continuation back towards the upside. If we want to see a push higher. At Google, this one, you can see, as I mentioned, a little bit of renewed strength on some of these Meg 7 names. Google bouncing, reclaiming back above that 350. Microsoft, bouncing nicely off our double bottom. What I'd like to see now is that push back up and towards 400. We did break above our previous day highs yesterday, and we also flipped back above that 380. We just like to see it maintain above that 380 for continuation here now as well. Meta, yesterday we had some news in the pre-market. The key levels that we talked about was our 590. You can see multiple touches here, level of support turn into resistance. Now we want to see it flip back above. You can see buyers stepped in right off the bat, right above our 596. So nice buyers that stepped in here. Continuation up and towards the next main level, which is our 620. At least for today, going to be a little bit more patient on Meta. We're in between the middle of the range. If we do want to see upside here now, bounce play offers 600 or above our previous day highs here, of course. Amazon, this one, more so inside the range here as well. We like to see Amazon above our 238 or now above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. Netflix, this one back up into that 75. This is actually a break and retest, potentially underneath our yearly lows, which is our 76. You can see we end up having a rejection earlier on Tuesday, or this was Monday. We end up having a pretty solid break and retest right off this key technical level. So we end up having nice rejections on Monday and fading back towards the downside. Now we're back at this level once again. We could see another potential fade right back towards the downside here. For Netflix, only way I'm interested in longs above our previous highs and above that 75. As for SpaceX, this one, we did end up rejecting off key levels yesterday in the pre-market, which happens to be that 176. Now we're kind of back at the level which we broke out from. So for SpaceX, now we just want to see the flip back above that 160, continuation back up and towards that 164 and potentially above here. So that's what we have for SpaceX. Now, with that being said, let's head on to some other tickers here, starting off with Palantir and a few other names. There is roughly 3 minutes until red folder news, so we'll go over a couple more tickers and then we will talk about the game plan for today. yeah, if you guys do have any charts, any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. All right, for Palantir, this one ended up moving nicely on the daily time frame. We're gravitating back up and towards a key technical level. So for Palantir, this one is in a daily downtrend, but as you can see yesterday, we reclaimed back above that 9 EMA, and we ended up pushing all the way back up in towards this retest level here, which is our 128. Based off the daily chart, we could even reject off this level and continue back towards the downside, or now if we reclaim with strength, we can see a reversal in play, right? Kind of this undercut, or sorry, this overshoot, and now we're looking for this reclaim back towards the upside. So for Palantir, key levels is going to be our previous day highs. Keep this in mind for today. Let's keep an eye on Palantir above our 128 for a pushback towards the upside. MU. This one, so far, we are seeing some buyers right off our key level support. The range that we have marked out is really just this, right? This is our key level support, and this is our key level of resistance. We went from our range low, earnings, bounce, rejection, another bounce, middle of the range, and now we're coming back once again. For MU, we like to see buyers step in here and reverse back towards the upside. So that for MU, as long as you maintain above the low of the range, we're looking for upside. Downside would only be in play if you got underneath your previous day lows, hold underneath. SNDK, similar thesis, more so ranging. Now we're coming closer to the low of the range. We're just kind of bouncing with the MU so far. And then INTC, fairly similar thesis as well. We have a rejection here off our all-time highs. And now we're coming back down into the bottom, which is that 124. We just like to see buyers step in for a reversal back towards the upside. So that's what we have for INTC and some of the semis today. WDC right into a key technical level. I like WDC quite a bit. So let's keep an eye on WDC. More so a longer term, right? You could even come back down to fill this daily gap. But this is the exact level I want to see at WDC bounce for a move back towards the upside. MBIS took a pretty big hit yesterday with, of course, the meta news that we had in the pre-market. This one's still very bullish on MBIS. We could see a little bit of a deeper retracement here on the daily chart. If we're looking at the weekly chart, we could see a little bit of retracement. This is the general area I like to see hold really is this like 200. 200 is key, and of course we have our 230. All right, with that being said, we have some news here. You can see so far we are having a nice spike on the major indices and a couple other names here as well. So let's take a look at some of the numbers that we had that was just released. Okay. So we just had some red folder news here. Average hourly earnings 0.3%, forecasted 0.3. Main mover here is the non-farm enrollment change. Came in a lot lower than expected. As you can see, 114, actual 57. So came in a lot lower than expected for the non-farm enrollment. Unemployment rate, a little bit, unemployment rate 4.3%. 4.1%, and then unemployment basically neutral here as well. So the main thing is, of course, the non-farm enrollment change, which came in a lot lower than expected. So far, the market is having a bullish reaction off that level. A bullish reaction based off the news events that we have, and now we're back up in towards our previous day high. So coming into today, the SPY is, of course, a lot more bullish. Qs is now doing quite a bit. We kind of had a big move on the QQQ, and now we're closer to the top of the range here as well. And the SMH is a lot more weaker, right? This one right in between the middle of the range. So SPY coming into today, what we're going to keep an eye out for is our previous day highs. Break above our previous day highs, hold continuation higher. If we consolidate, right, reclaim back above our previous day highs, continuation towards the upside is in play here as well. So we're going to keep an eye on SPY previous day highs. And for the Qs, we are technically inside of its range. So we're going to be a little bit more hands off on the Qs. and we're going to keep an eye out on the reaction that we have on SPY. If SPY can break above our previous day highs hold, then for the Qs, we can see this bounce play for a move back up in towards our previous day highs. SMH, similar thing. So far, you can see we're reclaiming back above, and we're having a nice pop so far back up and towards the 635. So with that being said today, what are some of my main watches? Number one, Tesla above our previous day highs for continuation. Another couple names I'm looking for, an AMD potential reclaim back above our previous day lows that's in play. A lot of the Mag 7 names are going to be on watch. Apple above our previous day highs for continuation. Other names like Meta, this one's more so in the middle of the range, but I do like Google basing above that 352. And then Apple, if we can get back above that previous day highs. I do like Tesla more so. It seems like SPY is really the one that's kind of leading the markets higher. We can keep an eye on Palantir still above our previous day highs here as well. And then some other names that were a little bit more bullish yesterday. We had Hood. This one ended up having a nice textbook break and retest, actually came all the way back down. We ended up having an immediate break and retest. This one came back down for another break and retest. Now you can see buyers are stepping in. Nice daily candle here as well. You can see we're above the 9, we're above the 21. And now we are actually back at the highs that we created. This was from earlier of last month. So key levels that we have marked out on Hood is our 112. And of course, we have our previous day highs here as well. So for Hood, this one looks pretty solid on the daily chart. Right, this one building up higher lows within the past month above the 21. Now we're about to have another push as well. We can see a move up. Next level that we do have is really 120, right? 120 is our key technical level here. So we can see a potential move up and towards 120 here within the next few trading sessions on Hood. So the game plan today is keeping an eye on that 112. Best case scenario above our 112 continuation. If we do reject, there's potential that we could see a reversal here on Hood. So this is in play. So longs would be best above our pre-market highs, or we could be looking for a potential pullback long off our previous day highs for a pushback towards the upside here as well. For a couple other tickers, some of you guys are mentioning, Hood, CRWV. CRWV, this one hasn't done too much really within the past. I'd say we've had a nice bounce. This was earlier in April with the overall indices, but CRWV slowly starting to push back towards the downside here as well, back in towards the original breakout level. HIMS, this one's moving up nicely. You can see higher lows are being built on HIMS. Nice daily break and retest here now as well. And now we're flipping back towards the upside. HIMS looks pretty solid. So HIMS, key levels that we're going to have marked out now is just this daily break and retest. Next levels towards the upside is all the way back up and towards our 40 key psych. What we would like to see today on ticker symbol HIMS is the break above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. Okay, with that being said, let me go into a couple more. Some of you guys are mentioning Coin. So we had basically a double bottom here on Coin. Coin's in a good technical spot. We actually have multiple touches off this level. You have a touch here, touch here. This is basically touched around 5 different times. Coin, let's see if we can get this reversal right off our 150. Very key spot. Buyers are stepping in. Now let's see if we can get this reversal back towards the upside here. So that's what we have on Coin. And yeah, with that being said, at least for today, the overall markets, so far we are having an initial bullish reaction here with the red folder news that we had. We're just going to be looking for a continuation above our previous day highs, or we can also keep an eye on the potential rejection, right? If we do reject off our previous day highs, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on the SPY and the Qs. Right, if Qs, let's say, rejects off our previous day highs, we could see a move right back down in between the middle of the range. So we'll keep an eye on the reaction that we have within the first 10 to 15 minutes. As I mentioned, we do have a long weekend tomorrow, with, of course, the market holiday and Independence Day. So for today, Right, gonna be a little bit more patient. If I do see anything, if I do see some relative strength, we can look to trade it back towards the upside. If not, gonna be a little bit more patient coming into this long weekend, of course. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna call it a day here. I'm gonna get ready for market open here now. So hopefully you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. We'll have a YouTube video coming out on Saturday on my second channel, go over the weekly outlook, and then of course on Sunday on my main channel. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys enjoy your trading day and your long weekend, of course, since the markets are closed tomorrow. So spend some time with friends and family and enjoy your long weekend. All right. Take care, everyone. See y'all next week. Peace.